Out that door, first door on the left is the smoking area. We'll probably get drinks in between if you want to drink, while we tee up and make sure Bendigo still has us online. And there may also be unexpected pauses in the evening. You see our really high-tech setup here that probably belongs better in a farm than a mine site this day and age, but we're getting there. If we do have any problems with Bendigo, they'll probably ring into me and we may have to pause things for a moment. So, without further ado, our first speaker tonight, Damien Bilsborow from Northgate. Damien has worked in open pits as a field assistant and was an underground miner for a number of years in Kalgoorlie. He transferred from the underground workforce and got into the site emergency response and ended up as the site emergency response coordinator. And while he was in this role, he undertook some studies in occupational health and safety. He's been in emergency response teams and a training consultant working in mines in Australia and PNG. Damien has been employed as the Safety and Environmental Manager for Fosterville Gold Mine for the past 5 years. And in that time, the mine's grown from a workforce of around 100 people to currently employing about 400 full-time people, which is the largest gold producer in Victoria. Without further ado, I'll ask Damien up and we'll get going.
What have we got here? Beautiful.
Okay, thanks very much for having me. It's certainly something that we look forward to, and Fosterville is very happy to be able to speak at some of these events. I suppose just a little bit of background, like the introduction has said from Ben. I'm the Safety and Health and Environment Manager at the Fosterville Gold Mine. I did commence employment there in November of 2005, and at that time we had a team of one. So we had contract open pit mining. We had a recently commissioned processing plant, and certainly we're gearing up towards an underground operation which was commencing, or was to commence in 2006 early, so around January time. Since that period of time, I've been lucky enough to be supported by the organisation and being able to implement systems and strategies and actually building a team of resources. So we now have a team of 7 safety and training personnel, and that includes emergency response, someone dedicated to safety and training in the processing plant, 2 underground trainers as well, working on a 7-and-7 roster. So very well supported and very well resourced for us to be able to manage our safety on site. These pictures here, guys, they're probably some of the faces that only mother could love, let's be honest, but well, what they signify to me and my team is each one of these persons has been injured at work in our workplace over a period of time, recently, probably within the last 12 months, and what it says to me is we need to keep working harder, and we need to keep working smarter, and continue to put the focus on ensuring that we don't have these sort of numbers and figures and people around. And hopefully today what I'm going to show you is what we've put in place with regards to incident reporting and hazard reporting within our workplace, and look at just different ways that we've gone about it at Fosterville. Obviously, when we commenced the underground operation, we went in with a contract miner, and in that period of time, there were systems in the processing plant. We had systems for the underground. There certainly was conflicting standards in place, and one of the barriers that when Northgate took over, and we actually removed the contractor from site, one of the key issues for us was to try to reverse that culture, reverse that reporting culture. As much as we tried with our contractor workforce, we really we could say whatever we liked on the surface and talk to the guys down the hole, but as soon as we were out of the picture, there was potentially different messages being sent through. So we certainly had a real battle on our hands to continue to provide the safety message. So I said to our guys, look, we just need to keep talking to the people, and communication and consultation is certainly the best way that we can get through to our guys. And it sounds simple, we believe it is. to be honest. And you know, and I've said to the guys, I don't have big fancy systems. I'm not one of those guys that goes out there and tries to change the world. It's what works for us, and you'll see, you know, a little simple hazard card system that we've got in place. But it's about trying to make sure you get your right systems for your workplace, and that's what we found. We believe we found now a system that works for us, and we're getting people to respond to that system, and I'll show you some figures later. You know, when people raise issues, it's pretty easy as supervisors, managers, safety personnel to turn around and say, oh gee, that's, you know, I don't think that's right, or you get a bit disenchanted or defensive because it's like they're having an attack of your standards and systems, and you know, we're really there trying to, the employees are trying to improve the workplace as well. So three simple facts that we say, you know, listen, think and act. Listen to what they've got to say. Find out why they're raising issues. You know, what is the main problem, and then act upon what we think. And the information that you have. And sometimes, guys, what we find is we don't have to do anything. It's more about a conversation. It's about finding issues that might not even be happening in our workplace, but for someone out of, they're having some issues outside of work as well. So there's certainly things there that we continue to build on. One of the key points we say is, you know, if you're sitting in a room full of people and your colleagues, and we probably would have 50 odd people in a muster meeting every morning, 7 a.m. underground muster meeting, and you know, if you're sitting in there and you want to raise an issue, it takes a bit of courage to do that. So give that person some time and give that person the respect that they deserve to say their piece, and then basically work with them. That's how we work, and get to know the people that you're dealing with. That's what you know. Find out what they do on the weekends. Find out what they do on their days off, and that's what I've encouraged my guys to do. Is to really get to know people and engage with them. I suppose the key thing is to establishing a reporting culture is really try to encourage people to report. And it's easier said than done, and not discipline people. I mean, there's people can quite easily brush things under the carpet if they don't want to, because of the fear of retribution or whatever it might be. You might have an experienced miner not wanting to stick their head up out of the pack and say, well, look, you know, I've made a mistake. Or you might have a green person or a young nipper or someone in the processing plant or a young geologist who's trying to impress their supervisors, their managers, and again, they don't want to stick their head up over the pack as well. So it's certainly important to encourage people to report, and really, you know, I've put it in there, celebrate your small wins. Treat it as a win when you get the reports coming through, and make sure you just continue to work towards greater systems. Our key message has always been, if we don't know about it, we can't fix it. Okay, so what we say to the guys is, don't wait for a safety meeting. Don't wait until myself or one of my mates, team members gets down the hole. Bring it up straight away. If something happens, we want it reported so we can then start working on helping you to fix the workplace. So we really turned it around onto the guys, and I'll talk a bit about the reporting and show you some stats shortly. And again, it's about providing opportunity for people. You know, when I was putting the presentation together, when I looked at opportunities for people to report incidents, hazards, gains, we call them as well, there was actually 10 methods from a workplace inspection to a face-to-face contact with a supervisor, pre-start checks, hazard report books, hazard cards, gain cards. There were 10 options there, at least, that people had to be able to raise issues. So we're not, you know, you really got to be able to provide that for the workforce. And one thing I specifically say to my guys when we're dealing with people is talk to them. You know, don't tell them, don't stand up there and preach. It's pretty hard sometimes when you're in the safety and training role. You always seem to be doing something on the negative side of things, where really we want to try and make sure we talk to the people, find out what the problems are, and then continue working through them. And like I said, various methods are used for reporting, and as it says there, you know, up to 10 options are available for our people to report or have access to report the condition in their workplace. we believe the system, you've got to have systems, and the system we have at Fosterville is supported by the supervisors and the superintendents, department managers, and it's reinforced every Tuesday morning. We have the general manager address the induction, and apart from going around the room and introducing themselves and talking about where they go and do they know who they're supposed to be reporting to and the like, one of his key aspects in the role is to talk about the importance of reporting and making sure that the systems are maintained and that they know that they understand, they have the ability to be able to talk to the people. So I'll show you these hazard cards a little bit later on, but it's one of the things that he actually specifically talks about in the induction. So the three main areas of reporting that we have, so we have an incident report, which is a general incident report, and if you've seen one, pretty much you've seen them all, as long as they cover the certain aspects. And for that, it's a general report which will cover production loss, environmental damage, injuries, near misses, those sort of aspects. Everyone's seen them. Everyone has gone through different types of systems in the past. What I wanted to concentrate on was probably something a little bit more site-specific to Fosterville, but still has been out in a generic, and I should say at the store operations as well, something which we've introduced with the Northgate side of things to really start bringing on the reporting culture. So we've got a simple booklet that the guys are issued with, and this is the booklet in induction. It's got a series of bits and pieces, safety rules and contact numbers and the like, but it also has a hazard and gain card in here, and I'll show you another version of that. The definition of a hazard card is, so if you were going to put a hazard card in, definition would be if you came across a hazard, and in this example here we've set a loose or a faulty handrail, you don't have the ability to fix it there and then, you barricade the area off, notify your supervisor, you can't actually do anything else about that, it's not in your area or your technical experts or whatever, you then have to get someone else to fix it. You put a hazard card in, it then starts getting into the system. A gain card we introduced was, let's start looking at those hazards that are in the workplace. Can we fix them? And if we can, we've made the workplace safer. Let's put a gain card in, because we're now empowering our people to look at the hazard, identify that hazard, and then have the ability to note down or take action, note that action down, and then when you look on the hazard card, if there's any other suggestions that they can provide us to improve in the workplace, because they're the people down there. So it's certainly something, and the example here, if there's a loose rock on the wall, they scar it off, clean it up, make sure it's neat and tidy and there's no other issues, put a gain card in for that. And then what happens with those gain cards, it goes through a series of steps. So all of our incident reports, hazards and gain cards basically follow this as a set example of what actually happens to it from start to finish. So one of the personnel on our, whether it be an employee or a contractor, puts identifies a hazard, an incident or a gain. They then do what they need to do with it. They report it and they hand it to their supervisor. The supervisor then basically hands it to looks at it, makes sure everything is satisfied from a production type safety level, then hands it to the foreman, mine superintendent, whatever it might be, and is action further. Basically, every hazard card, incident and gain that occurs on site is brought up by that department manager. Okay, at the 9 o'clock, we have a 9 o'clock morning meeting, so the manager is actually responsible for bringing the incidents, hazards and gains to the table every day. And then basically they get distributed out on our daily sheet, what we call our daily activity sheet. So everyone on site knows how many hazards, how many gains, what the incidents were in a brief description. The report, what happens with the report, I'll take the underground mine, for example. It might have happened on a night shift, day shift crew coming in, they actually grab the reports and the shift bosses go through and read them out, whether they be incidents, hazards or gains, so they go through and discuss it. And if there's an incident, if there's a hazard that's occurred within the workplace that might relate to a geotechnical aspect, well, the geotechs are certainly notified about it, and then it gets brought up, and they go down and inspect the work area, for example. They're reviewed by the department superintendent, and then we assign the responsible persons, so the actions are assigned accordingly. The report's entered into our database system, so now we're starting to track. We're starting to monitor and look at any actions. We now finally get the report completed, filed, and the actions are completed and finished off, and we provide feedback to the personnel as it's going through. So with the ability of these cards, they have a tear-off strip, so the top copy comes with us, and we have basically the blueprint stays with the operator. So if they have an issue that they raised on their last roster and they haven't heard about it when they've come back on site, they can actually say, oh look, I've got this number here, where are we up to with that? Just gives the guys a bit of a chance to review that. Then when the reports are closed out, the feedback's